This is just a cheap square neck that I play on my lap sometimes. I started out playing this way a long time ago when I was young with just a regular acoustic and lighter because I didn't have a slide. I didn't know what they were doing. I didn't know they were open tuned. I would stay mostly in, because right now I'm in open G, but even in standard tuning, these strings are still a G triad, so I would sit with my lighter and that's all I knew how to do. So I would do that on my acoustic guitar. So that's why I originally started to play slide guitar. I didn't play upright. I don't play in this style very often. When I do, I pretty much stick to the blues. I know the bluegrass guys tune to GBD, and this is tuned just to regular open G tuning. D, G, D, G, B, D. Okay, so that's the tuning that I play in on this mostly, or I'll tune it to open D sometimes. And the limitations when you're playing the blues on a square neck as opposed to upright, like I normally do, is of course you can't fret. So my technique certainly isn't anywhere near, my intonation is not anywhere near on this what it is playing upright. And I find also that when you're playing upright, of course I have my thumb to guide my slide, okay? When you're playing in this style, I'm using these fingers and this finger mostly for that control, right? Which is a lot tougher if you're used to playing this way. Now, because I started out on my lap, I mean, it's a little bit easier. But what I've noticed with some people is that some people progress quicker playing this way, upright with a slide on their finger, and they can fret and they have that thumb, okay? Some people take to this style of guitar playing on their lap quicker. So that's why I'm doing this lesson. Normally I don't do lessons in this tune, in this style, because I don't play in it much anymore. But we're in open G. So we have our 1 chord, our 4 chord at the 5th fret, at the 7th fret our 5 chord, and then we're back to our 1. Have our scales that we play in. I play a lot between, and what I've showed in my other videos, anything that I've showed in open G in my other videos can apply here except for the stuff that I fretted. So you really have to damp. your G7 is here. Okay? And oftentimes what people will do when they're playing in open G and they're playing blues stuff is they will be playing between an open. 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 So these are all the places you can go. You can go up to your 7, up to your 8. Your turnaround. What I'm doing for that is I'm on the 4th string here with my bar. Or now when you're up at the 12th fret, this is your 7th. So you have all kinds of licks. And your 4 chord, which is at your 5th fret, 7th is here. So you can also use your turnaround, that turnaround like I showed you all the way down. If you just go part ways down, you can kind of use it as a rhythm part too. I think I got this from Muddy Waters. So there's all these things you can play in here. So when I was going, what was I doing again? So I'm hitting this string, the 4th. So it's as if you're doing your turnaround. Then I'm cutting that off. From the 2nd up to the 5th for my 4 chord. Then up to my 12th. So I'm on the 1 here and finishing up the 1 up here. Up to the 7th fret, which is my 5 chord. So there's all this stuff. The nice thing about this style of guitar playing is that it's just so wide open for improvising and composing and, you know, stealing licks from the old guys. If you listen to them, you can steal Robert Johnson licks and Sunhouse licks, even though they played in open A. You can get special capos for Squareneck as well. I have one somewhere. I don't know where it is. But just try this open tuning. The bar that I'm using, this one is one of my favorites. It just happened to be the closest. But there are a lot of different things that you can use if you don't have one of these bars. They're very heavy. They have a lot of mass to them. And if you'll notice, in this style of playing as opposed to playing upright, there's a lot less rattling and banging and stuff, because the strings are a lot higher off the neck, as you can see. This is a square neck. It's got a big fat square neck on it. It's meant for playing on your lap. Oops. So you just start out by riffing around. And you can get just, I find that on the upright, I play a lot with, all these fingers. On the square neck, I play mostly with these two. And oftentimes, I'll just keep a steady bass going. Play a lot between here. And you can just alternate between, not doing any bass, and then putting it in. So on your one chord, you would be using this bass, your fifth string. When you were coming down on, you would also use that for your four chord. Okay? On your five chord, you would use the low D. Four chord. See how I changed the bass there? So I've been playing mostly in the pentatonic and using pentatonic notes. To find your major notes would be on the second open, on the first then open. So go. Then on the second open, second open, second open, second open. So you can just kind of strum around with those. So I was using these notes. Okay. I was using these notes. Just flowing, you know, playing on the same chords that I was playing when I was doing the pentatonic stuff, but I'm doing like major stuff now. And you can do your little at the 5 and 7 and 12. I do it with my pinky mostly. As long as you're accurate, you hit right over the fret. So on your 4 chord, your major note is here. I was going here. When I would come up, I go. Okay. Instead of going, if I was in a, you know, playing a pentatonic or blues, I was going here. Now I'm going here. It's a sweeter sound. Just remember that. And up to your 5th. Now there are guys who can show you better, you know, what scales. I find that I don't really know any scales, musical theory scales. I just know where things sound major and they sound minor. If I were to use a scale, or I were to learn a scale in its entirety, I mean, I don't think I would ever use it, right? I've never seen anybody use scales in their entirety. So I just learn positions and what sounds good, and then make stuff up or rip stuff off the old guys and then make stuff up. Like I ripped that off of Charlie Patton. too. So that's major stuff. When I want to go back to the pentatonic for a minute. When I was doing so I was sticking straight. So I'm hitting the G, keeping the bass going. There's just so much to play around with in here. So that's just a basic lesson on what I know about this. If people are interested in more of this type of stuff, I'll do more on this guitar. And I have a Dobro guitar too that I keep tuned to open D. And I'll play more in this style. Something about a lot of people don't have these. They have a lot of mass to them, like I said. Many years ago, I also was using, these are very difficult to use, but remember the little booze bottles when they used to be glass? I mean, they're plastic now. They don't make good slides, but I had used this for a while too. I'd use that, which is hard to use because it's kind of big, like it doesn't fit into your, you know. It's a little tougher to use. When I did eventually get a slide, or before I got a slide, you can also use this as a bottleneck. You have to be careful with these because they have a seam on them, right? And it worked pretty good for a while. It doesn't have quite the sustain that metal does, but you can use something like that. If you don't have that, you can use, this is a piece of, this is a copper pipe that I cut off. Copper is kind of a very, well, it's a very soft metal. So, it's got a softer sound. But you can use that, something like that, if you don't have any kind of a slide. As I said, I started out, I'm just going to try it briefly here. I started out with a lighter, and lighters are great for playing slide on electric guitar, not so good on an acoustic instrument. Virtually no sustain to them. But on electric guitar, they actually work pretty good. So, whatever you can find in your house to use for a slide, whether it be a piece of glass, an old bottle, if you already have a slide, like I said, you can use a regular slide. I have this glass slide here that fits on the ring finger. I find that with these you have to be careful. They usually have seams, but they can work. I like this because it's kind of a light glass, and it doesn't have as much sustain, but it doesn't have as much extraneous noise. So there are a whole bunch of things that you can use if you don't have one of these bars. I have a bunch of these actually. This is an old candle one. I have, I don't know where they are. They're in a box somewhere. Anyway. But if I do more videos, you'll see more of these. I have a whole bunch of different ones. And anyway, so I just wanted to leave it there. If you're interested in that kind of stuff, what little I do know about it, and I can transpose a lot of licks that I've taught, you know, playing upright to this style if it works better for you. Other than that, I just want to say thank you for watching.